Thank you very much. We had 1 hour of very good discussion, and the second part will still also have 1 hour. And the first part we discussed about how to cope with North Korea. Second part we'll discuss with, in order to do so, how should we look at our relations with Republic of Korea, China, Russia, United States. Of course, you don't have to talk about all four, but you can choose 1 or 2 of your countries you would like to address, and we'll go around this time again. And well, this time we'll start from Sakata-san and go around this way and finish at Maeda-san. So who just joined us, he's was candidate of Nobel Prize and has been one of the top doctor for cancer. And we're very happy to have him today as well. So Sakata-san, can you start off your points on these relations with surrounding countries?
Yes, thank you, Ambassador Fusaki. As for starters, relations with neighboring countries, I'd like to focus on Korea, Japan, Korea. But first of all, in thinking about Northeast Asia peace and security, on the North Korea issue, US, ROC, Korea, ROC, Japan, trilateral is very important. But also the Japan, China, Korea, Nichukan, Japan, China, Korea trilateral cooperation is very important as well. And within that format, I'd like to just focus on Japan-Korea relations. And we have a real expert here on our table. So, but just 2 points on Japan and Korea. And one is that we need to cooperate both on security, especially facing a real existential North Korean nuclear missile threat. And so, how do you say, for example, we did sign the GSAMIA, the Information and Sharing Agreement, and that has been extended for another year. So that's a good sign. But number 2, we also at the same time in parallel work to manage and improve the situation on the history issue that the 2 countries share. And in that sense, for example, the comfort women issue, the Japan-Korea agreement in last 2015. It's being reviewed in South Korea right now, but I hope that that agreement can be supported, and because it's a foundation to start out with, and in order to manage our relationship, that's very important as well. Thank you.
You're saying that we have done everything we can on the second point you have said on history issue, and it's their turn to implement, or are there any things we can do more on that as well?
When you say history issues, so there's so many history issues, but focusing first on the comfort women issue is that I think we need to, maintain the Japan-Korea government agreement. And there's more that Korea can do right now, but of course there can be improvements. For example, I don't think the Korean people understand much about what has been actually been agreed upon. So there needs to be more understanding, and I hope that the new Moon administration can help with that. And also, on the other hand, on the Japan side, if you read the agreement, there are words from the Prime Minister of his feelings about the issue, but it hasn't quite been communicated to the Korean people as well as the Japanese people. So, there can be more improvements on that, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, we have views, you've written and spoken to the about your relations with Republic of Korea, but you can address other issues as well.
Well, I think I'm expected to talk about our relation with Korea, so let me focus on that. If you want me to talk on Korea in 3 minutes, that's impossible. So I would just focus on matters that would be related to our issues with North Korea. I think there are points that we agree upon and points that we have different views. Points that we agree upon, I think it is not desirable that any war situation will occur on Korean Peninsula. That would be devastating for South Korea, but it will also be devastating for Japan. Second point we agree is that we have to cooperate on North Korean issue. President Moon Jae-in takes a two-track policy, which is to separate political, security, and economic issues with the historical issues. Because security is so important, we have to consider historical issue in a long-term perspective. Third point is that both agree that at this point, pressure on North Korea is more important than dialogue. These 3 points we agree. But there are different things. First of all, the perception of dialogue is quite different. Our perception is that we need to denuclearize North Korea. But President Moon Jae-in, he is in between Japan's US position and the position of China and Russia. That the pressure is to bring North Korea to the table of talks. And within the talks, there can be many solutions, which we cannot accept. Second point is on the historical issues. Whenever Korea-Japan relations was good was when there were presidents in South Korea who was committed to bringing Korea-Japan's relations in a better terms. And these presidents, I would say that they understood security issues, regional security issues. Those presidents who put historical issues first, it was difficult to make Korea-Japan relations better. Moon Jae-in, he thinks that historical issues should not hinder our security relations. But what he is doing is he is sort of accepting these non-profit organizations build these statutes of conflict women. I hear there is about 80 now in Korea. And these political organizations are trying to pursue their request, or their claims, by using these hatred sentiments of South Koreans. I don't think Korean people hate Japan, they love Japan. But when it comes to political and security, historical relations, they have sort of different views. One of the comments that he made troubled me was when he said that they have to study this forced labor issues together with North Korea. North Koreans, we are fighting to stop their nuclear development. And South Korean president is saying that they would cooperate with North Korea on historical issues with Japan. I don't know what he has in mind when he says that. He said that the personal claims of these people who was sacrificed from this forced labor, so to speak, is not settled. And that brought about a huge reaction from Japan. And when he talked with Prime Minister Abe on the phone, he said that this issue is already resolved between the nations. But he never said that this issue has been settled on the private level. So he is accepting these private citizens to make claims to Japanese companies. So what has changed? These historical issues would bring about some difficulties between Japan and Korea in the future. And once they touch upon this very sensitive issue, that will not solve the issue, it will just make the matter worse. And even if he tried to settle down at that point, it's too late. So I think he has to be more cautious of the difficulties of these historical issues if he is going to cooperate with Japan. And he does not understand that Japanese people are so fed up with this historical issue. And as long as South Korea keeps on raising this issue, there will be no Japanese who wants to cooperate with the South Koreans. Thank you.
President Moon is not closing the door of dialogue with North Korea. And do you think that would give a good excuse to China for not taking a more stronger sanction or measure against North Korea because the Republic of Korea is taking that sort of approach?
And that is very much of a concern to me. And everybody, almost everybody who is in a position to deal with North Koreans will come from the Norm-Keon administration 10 years ago. And for example, the chief secretary of the White House, he is sympathetic to Juche thoughts of North Korea. And others, they've been in charge of arranging summit talks between North Korea and South Korea, or arranging this cooperation at the Kaesong. But the problem is their thinking about North Korea is derived from that of 10 years ago. They don't understand that North Korea today is quite different because their nuclear and missile development program is almost completed. So they don't understand the urgency of this issue. And that is my major concern.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. As far as DPRK is concerned, and as I said at the beginning also, is the main objective is how can we have stable unanimity in the international community. On the other side, the clear policy of Pyongyang is to try to drive a wedge into the different alliances, and that's what we have to try to avoid. And I think that's the overall principle that we have to have clear in mind at this moment. And therefore, I think as far as China is concerned, we are trying quite correctly to put some pressure from the United States, from other perspectives, to bring them more on board for more sanctions and for diplomacy that's going ahead with some solutions for this terrible crisis. On the other hand, we have to find some reassurances. And I think what the American Foreign State Secretary said, the four no's, I think there are two parts of it in it, no regime change, no collapse of the DPRK system, and no American troops beyond the 38 latitude. So this is also kind of a reassurance, also a message to China and so on. To some extent, I think this is one point. As far as historical issues are concerned, I don't want to interfere in this debate. Well, we can discuss it, of course, but it's not my way to do it at first hand. What I think, and this is our experience in our history, is that it needs two to tango, as we say. That's also in history issues. You need two different states and governments who are ready to approach each other and to talk and to find solutions as far as history issues are concerned. And secondly, but for this two to tango, you also need a dance floor. I mean, you need the international and the international background to make this possible. In our case, it was the integration process of the European Union that was kind of a dance floor. And therefore, I think we have to keep this in mind. And the third point, as far as historical issues are concerned, and we make this experience at the moment also, is that history never ends. Also in Germany, as far as our relations to some member state countries in the European Union are concerned, there always pops up again history. There's always one more demand for more reparations or for bringing up this topic again. Therefore, we have to find mechanisms and confidence-building measures in order to deal with these issues, because they will, to some extent, never end. They will, to some extent, always pop up again.
Thank you very much. As for your first point about Secretary of State's message, no collapse, no regime change, no American forces beyond 38 degrees, do you think North Korean people will take it as a face value? Because they have always violated any agreements, and do you think those countries would say, oh, because they're saying this, we can believe and we can be reassured?
Of course, that's the core matter of it, but that's the core matter how to start diplomatic talks. And I think you have to make a start. And then by additional measures, additional steps to show that you really mean it. And I think you have to follow this path. It depends as far as your reassurance really works. And therefore, it's not only one rhetoric at one moment, but you have to give more substance to it and negotiations or dialogue, whatever.
I don't want to sound cynical, but view of the fate of a Libyan leader or Iraqi leader, it may be natural to believe that if there's some resurgence in the country, then the international community would side with those rebels rather than the regime. But let's go on and
yeah, I understand. Skeptical remark, but I think one thing is how to start diplomatic talks, and the second thing is we shouldn't give up our values at the end. That means we are democracies, we are advocating for democracies and for self-determination, and sometimes we have to find a way. How can we make real policy?
I totally agree with that. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like to make two short comments, one Russia and another in China. As far as the bilateral relations between Japan and Russia are concerned, I think the situation is quite favorable. Of course, we have the long-standing issue of the northern territories. But we have lived with this issue for the past 70 years or so. And at least Russia is ready to negotiate on this issue. And there are a lot of positive developments in our field. So I'm not concerned about our relations with Russia. But what worries me, is that the US-Russian relations are rather bad now. And to resolve the difficult issue of North Korea, we need a better relationship between Russia and the United States. Now, we can't do anything about it directly, but perhaps we should point out that point of question to our American friends. On China, of course, there are difficult issues. One is concerns the Senkaku Islands, and another concerns the natural resources on the seabed of the East China Sea. Those are very difficult issues. But otherwise, in many other fields, we enjoy good relations with China. So we can further develop our favorable relations with China on many other fields other than the territorial or the continental shelf issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Johnson?
I have some ideas. I think Japan is a very good role and a very important role in relationship in the region to maintain peace and stability in the region. And so I think in East Asia, only Japan have enough ability to negotiate with China in many things. In South Asia, ASEAN, you can see very weak and very separate now, difficult to have strong voice to negotiate. And in East Asia, very important the world in the 21st century. So who can do? And I think no one else, Japan. But how can deal with China? How can negotiate? And one thing we need, they have to show and open. We talk everything already, but I think one thing as a global citizenship education network and not a global forum, I think we China should respect and apply for global citizen values, the global common value for all Chinese citizens. And Chinese citizens now, they came to the world very much and do global and do business very much. But I think in the future, the world needs the global common value as a global citizen. But UNESCO and UN issue already. So any country should respect and apply for that. So that is the root of any problem, I think so. So why China don't want to do that? Yes, we should strongly discuss and open to discuss with them. I have opinion and experience to move with the Vietnam government. The first, also Vietnam leaders worry, what identity of Vietnam if join to global citizen, Vietnamese become global citizen. So we say with them that if Vietnam continue have identity and contribute with things from Vietnam, international in Vietnam to the world. For example, reconciliation and forgiveness and tolerance. Vietnam suffer with many countries, including the US, China, French, and also with Japan. We have not too much, but some moment have big problem. But Vietnam now have very good relationship with the world, especially with Japan. I think maybe most reliable partner and friend of Vietnam is now it's Japan. And also the US 21 years, very, very bad experience history. But now Vietnam, the US very, very good. Even Donald Trump, many people think about, Donald Trump make difference, something like that. Now difficult. But Vietnamese leader, I met them, I talked to them. They thought, no problem. They think anything, any president of the US, they respect and they maintain the relationship between Vietnam and the US, and they understand, not only president of the US can decide, but also US politics very strong foundation by democracy. So they understand and they continue to develop. With China, that is, Vietnam continue very constructive to build relationship with China. Even China makes some very trouble and difficult for Vietnam in conflict in society. That means reconciliation and tolerance that Vietnam can contribute for the world. So that means we don't worry about came to global citizen and global we lost our identity of any country. So why China do that? Yeah, I think so. If China, any Chinese citizen respect global common values and do apply with that, the world will be better, and we can easy to have common value to talk and discuss. So I think Japan very good role now, and very important role in the world, especially in very important region that is East Asia. I saw many countries look for that, and also Vietnamese leaders. I saw they respect and they look forward very much.
Tony-san, you said U.S. presidents, and I think President Obama tried to make reconciliations with Cuba, Iran, Myanmar, and he made a historic visit to Vietnam as well. And in some of the countries, incumbent president, Mr. Trump, is trying to push back on the relations with Cuba, Iran. And, what is the situation with Vietnam?
Yeah. Vietnam and the West now continue very good development in relationship, no problem with President Donald Trump. But Vietnam only worried because I see President Donald Trump say different every day, something like that. They worry. So they need very consistency, message and strategy in the relationship. And they think, they hope in the future President Donald Trump can show with the world more consistency and more open and easier to understand. But I think now maybe, I don't know, bad or good, but people need to be difficult to understand and to predict what President Trump do. So, but Vietnam and the US now continue very good relationship.
Thank you very much. Please.
Yes, thank you very much. Regarding security cooperation with South Korea, that is necessary. One of them is they mentioned non-combat evacuation operation cannot be done without South Korean government cooperation. And secondly, ballistic missile defense, the South Korea possesses Aegis destroyers, others THAAD missile, and if we can real-time linkage with those ballistic missile asset, that is much more effective. The ballistic missile defense in this region, and the Navy also, we cannot control by ourselves of that. Strait of Tsushima goes east channel controlled by us, but west channel controlled by the South Korea. So that can be done security cooperation. However, I would like to say that we have to fight their intentional propaganda of history issue. Let me show this slide here. This is American soldiers' report to the Japanese prisoner of war investigation. That is August in 1944. This is official Allied report. And the Korean conflict and interviewed 20 Korean conflict girls. They separate room of each girl, merely luxury, had plenty of money. There's 1,500 yen. A salary of private first class per month at that time was about 30 yen. So it means 500 times as much a salary. And then they participate in some sports event, attended the picnics, entertainment, and social dinners, and the program in the town. They are allowed to go shopping, and some of the girls were just allowed to return to Korea. So that means that they are not sex slave, and that is the prostitution. And it is illogical. The Korean conflict girl in Myanmar is the prostitution, and the other area is sex trade. So I would say this is the Korean intentional propaganda. And also the China agreed that they killed 300,000 in Nanjing, but population in 1937 in Nanjing was only 200,000. So we can't do that. So I would say that is an organized massacre. That is, I would say, the nearly incident. And the terms are here. The Korean soldiers during the Vietnam War, they killed and raped the Vietnam girls during the Korean the Vietnam War. So I would say they are not eligible to criticize, condemn Japanese. So I would say we have to submit those facts and then find their exaggerated propaganda. So that's my conclusion. Thank you.
Regarding this conflict issue, it's true that there are different testimonies, different views. But I think the very basis is that we have to really continue the sentiment of remorse that we have been expressed and apology that we have done to people, including those people in issue. Because if we change the very basic stance, this will really open up all the issues. So we have to be rather careful. But I take let's if there's any discussion, we can do it later. So I will pass on to Watanabe-san.
Thank you very much. I think I'm inspired by the Tuan-san's comments, the Vietnamese position. And before the previous session, I think as Sakata-san probably said, European country and the EU should be included in the dialogue with North Korea, over North Korea. And of course, South Asian country, ASEAN member is very important to be included to discuss about the North Korean issue. Not only North Korean issue, but regional security and diplomacy issue. And I think Vietnamese experience with China and the United States is really, really important to be shared with, that including a lot of reconciliation, clear. And I recently visited your country, Vietnam, and because I belong to the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, who is a non-profit international exchange organization in the working on the helping exchange of military, Vietnamese military to visit to the Japan and exchange with the self-defense forces. I think this kind of things is very important to the mutual understanding and sometimes learning each other. And actually, we are doing not only with the Vietnamese military, but South Korean military too. So again, the history issue is really very important, difficult things. But I think first of all, at the Korea crisis, Korea present crisis over North Korean missile and nuclear development, I think we really need to focus on crisis management seriously. And some sense of urgency is very important. And probably that could be the tool to get over at least the very difficult to reconcile in history perception issues. And in the past several years, Japan and the US and South Korea had a very good, effective crisis management mechanism and diplomatic coordination, so-called the TCOM. TCOM process was successful, at least. Unfortunately now, not so good. And we really need to come back this kind of process. And fortunately, now the Victor Cha, professor of Georgetown, was appointed to the U.S. ambassador to South Korea. And Victor is my friend, and he's very famous for the good book, the proposal. Why don't Japan and South Korea may have a more closer security cooperation despite over disagreement over history issues? I think that's a great opportunity to. I don't know who put Victor to the ambassador, but that's a good idea, great idea. And the revival of trilateral coordination is a time too. I think that is very important, and the history issue is still very important. But sense of urgency is really important to get over. By the way, for Japanese people, I'm sure recently Japanese people are somehow frustrated with South Koreans' attitude, especially keep moving the goalpost over the history issue. Of course, that is a frustration. And I'm sure South Korean people somehow frustrated with Japan's reaction too. So again, how to somehow persuade both sides? Probably the sense of urgency over crisis on over North Korea. That's very, very effective too. And North Korea cannot wait for, and maybe they may be the very pleased with very different voices between Japan and South Korea, Japan and China. They may utilize this kind of different voices. Time is very limited for us to prevent and freeze North Korean development. Thank you.
You said, following Sakata-san's suggestion, that six-party talks will be expanded to EU and furthermore ASEAN. There could be three problems. One, if you enlarge the membership, then it's difficult to get to a conclusion. Second, if you enlarge the membership, then North Korea may think that whole community is against them, so why would they bother to come to the table? Third option is if you make a larger table, then there's a very good possibility that some of them could really get into real talks in a different room. And I still remember my very disappointment when President Clinton accepted President Kim Jong-sam's idea of party of four and excluded us from the discussion, Russia and us from discussion. So we're very happy that we are now back in the table. So how do you think about that? Or maybe Sakata-san would like to.
I'd like to follow up.
Okay, thank you. Second, thank you very much. That's exactly the point I stressed on the importance of the trilateral coordination.
I see.
Right? It's like G20 and the G7. It's as you're right to the larger membership is a really loose talk and not so easy to manage. We really need to the dual the three-layered approach. So the core group should be trilateral plus China and Russia, maybe. But six-party talk is somehow the very negative image of the U.S. Politics. Like, we failed, six-party talk failed. This kind of things. We really need to think of some kind of new naming or new structure somehow. But that's a really difficult one. However, the six-party is more important. But three-party, Japan, US, South Korea is more serious about things. So core three is really, really tight and should be well managed. But unfortunately, not so yet. And plus China and Russia. So think about a different name of a six-party.
Sakata-san, would you like to comment?
Yes, I'd like to just quickly follow up on the six-party talks. What I meant to say was, please forgive me. What I meant to say was that we have the six-party format, revive it, if there, but plus EU or ASEAN as partners, so to speak. They're outside the circle, but as partners to show the commitment to the UN resolution, the sanctions resolution, and also EU has experience in CATO. We're not going to do CATO, but what I'm saying is that they have experience in cooperating on this issue back in the 1990s. So what I meant to say was that as plus partners, so to speak, with outsiders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, yeah, please.
Yes, I'm sorry for delayed attendance. And I'm a little bit of maybe more of a common citizen and not expert in international affairs. But the first part, I just hear a few minutes. But the problem is disparity of this world. Many disparity between Islam and the so-called free world versus disparity between the free nation, justice and prudence. But on the other hand, the other believes in power and force. And then they make up a fake fact and then propagate. Like Mr. Ota has mentioned. This has been so much, I think, in the terrible situation and no reality. This is not so, without the trust between the partners, there is no real solution. And they are preparing more imperialistic, in the classic term, is more power, and then they will do whatever they want. And this is the very terrible situation. In Japanese side, I think the academia is also, as well as the media, more mediums like anti-Abe is a major the principle. Most of the major newspapers, except a few, is anti-Abe. And then they, for instance, they want to go ahead with just a talk, peace talk. And then ever since the Clinton and Obama or the Bush, they have been keep talking with North Korea. And then we wasted so many years. And then now they finally, they materialize real power, and then nobody can control it. Now they say the North Korea, maybe the Southern Japan should be able to cope with their power. Means we have to make nuclear weapons, something like this. It's going to be the catastrophe, and human wisdom built in 2,000 years is almost vanished. And in the Oriental history, there is the wisdom, much wisdom in Confucius days. But now the Chinese, the modern Chinese communism is completely opposite to even they deny the Confucianism, the wisdom, and they believe in power. So this is a really the problematic situation, and like a fake fact prevailing the world is like a textbook in Korea or China, and then if you go to China, there is a military channel every day from morning to the evening. They go for all the military program every day and then propagate how Japanese was terrible. And then they educate the people. So these are the moral issue, and also religion should play a more important role. But it's a very difficult situation. As its disparity grows so much, at the beginning, maybe we could have more compensation and conciliation. And but this is a real problem. As far as the reconciliation program of this meeting, the President Abe made a great speech. I think to me it's a historical speech. I just happened to be watched I woke up in the morning, and this was almost tears came out. It's so impressive, and so many times, countless number of standing ovations to Premier Abe. And this was really a fantastic moment, and I think the pinnacle of reconciliation between the most, fierce fight like Vietnam and the US. And Vietnam now is going to have more reconciliation. But in China, or even the Korea, we never fought to the Korea. Korea is a Japanese citizen, and they are paid, and they could vote for the candidate for the Congress, the Japanese diet. And they have paid, and then lots of documents. And then how come they are slave, and then they're forcibly taken to the mining island or whatever. They're all fake, and there's lots of documents. But why Japanese media is so quiet? And only few Sankei Shimbun, I think, make a real true story. But this fake become propagated, and this is so disastrous. That I'm so frustrated about this. And now is the forced labor. And I remember maybe 10, 20 years ago, the ambassador, the United States was a US ambassador, and Japanese ambassador in US. And you made the American prisoner of war working in Japan as no Japanese government has no obligation to do it, and it is clear. So that is only reported in the Sankei paper. So this is a kind of so much of a problem. And recently I read a book by Kent Gilbert about how the U.S. brainwashed all the Japanese, and that was very impressive. His Japanese knowledge is more than me. He can read the manual show or the Japanese show, the many more of the classic Japanese. So it was eye-opening book. And so, as a common citizen, I'm not a political diplomatic person, but it is so frustrating situation at this moment, and the media is very much responsible, and we have to do something.
Thank you very much, Maeda-san. I think it's true that we are concerned about newspaper, textbooks, or television programs in China or Korea. At the same time, I think we have to be also concerned about our hate speeches, the books or magazines which are trying to promote anti-China, anti-Korean feeling in Japan as well. And we have to be balanced in this sense. In that sense, I think what we have to do is ask China or Korea not to concentrate only on past history, but become more forward-looking. And on Japanese side, we have to teach young people history more, because in order to pass college examination, they concentrate on ancient China or Edo or Nara or whatever, and not really the recent history, 100 years of history, which is most important, but because it's so divided, they don't really learn that much. And I think this is a real big problem for us as well. Now, we have 10 minutes before a conclusion, so I will ask those people who are raising the flag to limit yourself to 2 minutes or so that everyone could address. Muto-san, please.
Well, let me take this opportunity to explain about the comfort women issue to the American audience. It might take more than 2 minutes, if you may allow. The Korean Council for Comfort Women, they use a very improper word using sex slavery. They have so much political power. And Ota-san explained to me one of the facts of the Comfort Women. That's one extreme. There is another extreme. But the important thing is to look at the fact is very important. And there was a Korean scholar who studied this issue and produced a book. That was banned unless there was major modification to what was written. But I think it is important that we have to look at these facts in a more objective way. And the Korean Council, blah, 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 is objecting because what they produce as a fact is what they heard from the conflict movement. And that is one-sided view. We have to study both sides of the view. The agreement between Korea and Japan on this conflict movement issue is a very historical agreement because both sides accepted the position of the other side and tried to find the middle ground. Before that, when Korea and Japan had the historical issue problem, it was the Korean sentiment that produced that issue. So we had to accommodate to their views. But on that agreement, it was more of a mutual agreement. And what happened is, after that, President Park Geun-hye discussed this issue with all the conflict women, not just those who belong to this, those who live together. And 70% of the conflict women accepted it. President Moon Jae-in said this was not accepted by Korean sentiment. But 70% of the conflict women accepted it. This is the real fact. President Moon Jae-in said, Japanese Prime Minister has to show courage to make more further concession. Which side did not have courage to do so? We had this women fight of conflict women in the past.
Asian ministry.
Asian feminist fight. And we made all our effort to comply with it and to settle this issue. But this Korean Council objected to it. And the Korean government, first they cooperated with us, but gradually they retreated and just left everything to us. Park Geun-hye, she tried to persuade everybody. If they did it, I think this issue is well gone in past.
Thank you very much. Sakata-san.
Thank you very much. Just another point on the history issue. It's a very sensitive issue, but you say I understand the frustrations that the Japanese side is having as well. And so there's work to do on both Korean side, but also there's work to do on Japan side. And I don't think there's a need to tell the people, distinguished people here, but Japan we cannot forget that we are the leaders of the post-war liberalist internationalist order, and we must approach these issues from that standpoint. That we are here because we negated the past, the post-past regime. But on the conflict women issue, so how do you say, Japan can't forget that we were colonizers and that we have to approach this issue from that standpoint as well. But also Japan and Korea are leaders of the liberalist international order that we try to build these past 70 years. And so we must together approach this issue from a human rights standpoint. And how do you say, Koreans have to understand the Japanese side. There are Japanese women as well. And also the Japanese have to understand the Korean side. And we all have to put ourselves in the shoes of the many women or girls of many nationalities that were put in that position at that time. And, they weren't quite free at the time. So, it's a basic point. And so, but facts have to be straightened out. But we must approach this from a human rights standpoint. And so, last point is that the Japan-Korea agreement should be maintained so we can work on this together collaboratively and remember and memorize this issue together. So that's my last point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we have finishing in 5 minutes. Is there anything any of you would like to add at this moment? If not, Yanai-san, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is not a specific question, but I have a message to convey to all of you. I met Koichiro Matsuda, who is the former Director General of UNESCO, and who is my longtime friend and a classmate from the university. And he asked me to convey his message supporting the BGA and the GCEN Reconciliation Conference. He was not able to join us because of his schedule, but he asked me to convey his message to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I think we have come to the end of the part 2 as well, and I think we've discussed a lot of relations with China, Korea, Russia, and I think discussing about, for example, Korea, we have to always keep in mind that we share very basic interests like security interests or democracy, and I think that's the very base. Also, we should not forget that on Japanese part, we always have to really seek the truth, as Mr. Maeda said. But at the same time, we should not forget that we exceeded them and we have invaded China as well. So these facts should not be forgotten and should be on the basis of our discussion too. Considered meaning Korea. But I think we have done a very good discussion in part 1 and part 2, and hope that this will be have clarified for people here and those people who will be watching this. Mita-san, thank you very much, and I'd like to say thank you for Mita-san and all those staff who have prepared for this discussion. Tuan-san, would you like to thank them?
Thank you so much. Thank Nobi. Yes, I compete with your Japan Super One. Great patriotism and Japan spirit. And great job today. Yeah, I appreciate.
Thank you.
Let's give a big applause.
Thank you very much for the excellent moderator, Ambassador Fujisaki, and thank you very much for your cooperation. Or thank you. And next, award ceremony. Please, Tuan will be a moderator. Thank you.
This year, BGA was going to go for 5 years. We are established 2012 under leadership by Governor Michael Lewis as chairman, and we are very successful in 9 years in achievement. Boston Global Forum successful by 2 years, and our many great scholars and people we have not worked in MIT. And this time, I would like to, on behalf of Governor Michael Lewis, highly appreciate and honor great contribution from Egypt, Japan. We are places in Japan and all the special today. We will honor some great contributor people. We see that is also leaders this year in Japan. And also we would like to honor Professor Hiroshi Maeda from Global Society in the paper. And we are so Governor Michael Lewis cannot come here, so I on behalf of him, please say first that is the Global Citizen Education Network. We honor professor, scholars, people, maybe they are not teachers in global citizenship education, but their research, their dedication contribute very much for global citizenship education. And we honor Professor Joseph Nye from Harvard University. He is a father of a soft power and as a global citizenship educator. And today we are very honored to, on behalf of Governor Michael Baptiste, and as he is chairman of the Global Citizenship Education Network, to honor Professor Hiroshi Maeda as a global distinguished global citizenship educator by his research contribution, dedication to biology, biotech, and medicine. So we would like to present Professor Hiroshi Maeda. When maybe here on when. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Really, I'd like to express my hearty thanks and great appreciation for the award. And I have been a professor for I don't know, something years, maybe 35, 60 years, 40 years. I was actually very much internationally involved. I was the Fulbright student when I was around 20 so. And then I spent a few years for the program in the University of California. And then I back to Japan. And then I was in a graduate school in medical school. I got the invitation from Harvard to work together for a project. And so I was in Boston. And then after returning, I got a part in the professorship. And then in my department, I have educated many international students, and some of them are now professor, associate professor in medicine in Harvard. Another one was the director of research in Harvard. And many more eminent scholars have been trained in my group. So I'm very proud to receive this award as the international organization. So I appreciate it. Please, thank you very much.
Also, we are very honored, highly appreciate to award and present Ambassador Sunchi Janai. He is, I think, we think Governor Michael Baptiste, he is also great leader of the Boston Global Forum in Japan. In 2014, we start open Boston Global Forum in Japan. Now it's more than 3 years, but Boston Global Forum in Japan, great contribution for the world in peace security initiative. And Ambassador Sunchi Janai is a great contributor and also dedicated for the mission. And on this road, very beautiful and nice road, we meet together and great. We are very, on behalf of Governor Michael Baptiste, I would like to say greatly thank you again for your contribute for Boston Global Forum. And many for the work also. So we would like to honor you.
Northeast part of North Korea.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much.
I'm very honored to receive this award. And I'd like to ask Jonathan to convey my heartfelt thanks to the governor. And also my thanks go to you yourself. And thank you for having joined us this morning. But I regret that we have to leave today already. So I hope that you will stay longer at your next visit.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Later, March next year.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And very special thanks for Ambassador Ichigo Fujisaki. He is a great friend of Governor Michael Dukakis, and also today we would like to inform you very good news. I think that from Michael Dukakis Leadership Fellow, very successful from 2015. Now, Boston Global Forum, Governor Michael Dukakis will decide to develop Michael Dukakis Institute for Leadership and Innovation, and we focus on peace security between policy and technology, special focus on cybersecurity, artificial intelligence. And so for last 5 years, Ambassador Fujisaki great contribute for Boston Global Forum, not only in Japan, but also in Boston here. Myself also highly appreciate and in my heart, we really respect and admire him with his great dedication for peace security in the world through Boston Global Forum initiatives, especially G7 Summit in Japan and G7 Summit in Italy is also captured very successful in G7 Summit in Italy. So next year in Canada we continue, and we hope Ambassador Janai, Ambassador Fujisaki, and all of us here today will contribute initiative for G7 Summit in Canada 2018. So I'm very honored on behalf of Governor Michael Dukakis to honor Ambassador Ichigo Fujisaki. Thank you very much, Governor Dukakis, for having included me in this PGF. Learning a lot from this process, and it was very important for me to be a participant. And often Bita-san calls me suddenly and asks me to be a moderator of the meeting. And I know the real reason behind, because if one is afraid that a guy or woman would speak too long, then you will ask you to be a moderator. Thank you very much. Thank you. And also leaders of Boston Global Forum and Governor Michael Lukakis. Highly respect and honor Novi Mita is one of the leader of Boston Global Forum, and see great success in as a leader of Boston representative of Boston Global Forum in Tokyo. Only more than 3 years, he make many great things happen and connect between Japan and Boston Global Forum, and in Boston and Harvard. I have to say more. He's a great friend, my friend also. Now, I think some years ago, Japan not so much deep connection with Harvard after China. China, they do very much and deep connection with scholars in Harvard and MIT. But with Novi Mita, enthusiasm and contribution, dedication. So now many things from Japan connect and a very good image with the Harvard and MIT community from Japan. See great contribution not only for Boston Global Forum in Japan, but also for Japan. So I talk with you today about Japan super well, and with myself, she great friend, and she made me very love Japanese and Japan country. Before that, even before that, I very myself highly respect and love with the Japan country. I can share with you the story when Japan had tsunami in 2011 on 31st of March. At the time, I edited of Vietnam Net. I organized a very big concert to support for Japan, Lechon, Japan, and that I will have to send to Japan at that time, and our Vietnamese people support and respect and try to support for Japan in difficult time at that time very much. So now I can much more close relationship than any country I can to the world. I think it is my country, so Vietnam, and also Boston, that is my hometown now. But that's why I came to Tokyo and came to Japan. I think very friendly, very close, and I think that is maybe my home country. That's something like that. Very well. That means Boston Global Forum in Japan. And on 5th anniversary of Boston Global Forum, I really say thank you to Novi Mita with your great contribution. I hope you continue great contribution for Boston Global Forum and also Michael Lukakis Institute for Leadership and Innovation. Continuing with new, yes, and also your great contribution to open to do for global citizenship education, Michael. Very important initiative between UNESCO and UCLA. So thank you so much. I'm honored to present you now.
Thank you very much for Tran and the Governor Michael Lukakis. I could experience depend on you and Governor Lukakis. I'd like to contribute to developing EGF and GCEN from now on. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
So now I think maybe that is this, and I would like to say more something that we are 5 years of Boston Global Forum, Michael Lukakis Institute for Leadership and Politics and Culture. We are first phrase and the first advice, and we continue practically much more ahead and in people road and listen. We are respect and hope and believe all of us continue in this road and contribute for the world more. And my group is look forward very much to have welcome you in Boston our next event. And I hope so Boston Global can contribute for US and Japan relationship very much in the future.
Mr. Trump arrived at the airport, but today he with us. So please welcome him with a big applause again.
One proposal, because he's here, why don't we take group photo?
Yeah,
Let's go outside.
Yes,
No, outside, better.
Also, please, yes.
Really very important event in all of the constitution that you both when you picture and content on all the constitution.
志村、これ持ってます。パソコン。で、どうしよう。
The conference is finished. Can I stop?
これ終わったかって聞いてます。終わったかって聞いてますよ。
まだって言って、まだ、だってそれ取るんでしょ。まだ、still continue.
Still continue.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. I will wait.
ちょっとじゃあ。
取って
ちょっと一瞬待ってくれていいですか？これを Wi-Fi の設定にしてくれたら撮れます。
じゃあやってくれる？じゃあちょっと待って。
いいですか？
ちょっと待って。
これ撮って。
ちょっとこれ頼む。
よいしょ。で、それをちょっと端っこ、一番端っこにくっついてるやつ。これか。で、これ持って一緒にこうして。大丈夫ですか？映ってます。動画だから止まってる必要ないです。これを床に置いてもらってカメラを撮ってきて。あ、志村。
誰か呼んできて。誰か急いで。そうなんですよ。今、ホテルで頼みましたよ。
アメリカの研究所は10年間これが大体このところで大地とか柳大地とかを使って場所に転生してライフは
清水君たちもいいんじゃないかな。もういいよね。
もういいですか？
これぐるっと回して。
これじゃあもう終わりでいいですか？じゃあ。何かに貸してもらいましょうか。よいしょ。はい、ではよ
よろしいですか？はい。では、お取りいたします。はい、チーズ。もう一度お取りいたします。はい、チーズ。はい。I think around 2 p.m. is okay because I have to like 6 p.m.
もうそれ全部 YouTube に流れてるの。マジで。じゃあ、フィニッシュでいいですか？フィニッシュでいいですか？伝えてもらってもいいですか？もう多分いろいろ決まってるけど。
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
We finished. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes. Close. Meeting close. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Everything.